In 1999, Dr. Claire Jean Kim published a seminal article titled The Racial Triangulation of Asian Americans. She begins the article by talking about the importance of going beyond the black and white binary when it comes to discussions about race in the United States of America. She says that up until that point, there were two major ways of thinking about going beyond the black and white binary. One is describing that each minoritized groups, each racialized groups has its own pathway of development in terms of racialization. That black folks, white people, Asian Americans, Latinx people, indigenous Americans, etc., were each racialized differently on their own path. She critiques this line of thinking by saying that while parts of it are true, it misses the important point that these different pathways have converged and intersected over time, and that while each racialized groups has their own history, the development of their racialization has been mutually contingent upon each other. The other line of thinking up until that point that was very popular in terms of going beyond the black and white binary is the theory of racial hierarchy, saying that white folks are at the top within white supremacy culture, and black folks are at the bottom, and other racialized groups fall somewhere along the middle in this one-dimensional hierarchical structure. And Dr. Kim also criticizes this by saying that the racialization that occurs in the United States of America occurs on more than just the one dimension of superiority and inferiority. Dr. Kim advances a much more nuanced understanding of Asian American racialization by talking about the racial triangulation. So Asian Americans are racialized along the y-axis between superior and inferior, the hierarchy, and as well as along an entirely different dimension, the x-axis that shows between foreigner and insider. So according to the narratives advanced by those with power within white supremacy culture, white Americans are at the top right, being the most superior in terms of the racial hierarchy, and the most insider, being the real Americans. Black Americans are racialized to be at the bottom of the hierarchy while still being considered Americans. Asian Americans, on the other hand, are racialized to be somewhere in the middle along the y-axis hierarchy, but all the way to the left being the perpetual foreigners. So stereotypes such as Asian Americans being law-abiding and docile, and we keep our voices down, we keep quiet, we keep our heads down, work hard, climbing the socioeconomic ladder, but that also Asian Americans come from an entirely different culture that is alien and foreign and fundamentally unable to assimilate. So all of these stereotypes place Asian Americans in this particular position in this triangulation. And relative to Black Americans, Asians are used as an example of hard work and success and climbing the socioeconomic ladder. And these narratives are specifically used to perpetuate the stereotypes of Black Americans and criminality, as well as telling Black Americans to stop protesting and demanding their civil rights through political means, and to also stay quiet like the Asians. So the relationship between Asian Americans and Black Americans is one of relative valorization, that Asian Americans are racialized higher on the hierarchy to keep Black Americans in their inferior position. Relative to white Americans, Asian Americans are racialized to be the perpetual foreigners in what Dr. Kim calls civic ostracism, in that Asian Americans, because we are alien and foreign, come from a different culture, and are fundamentally unable to assimilate in the white American imagination, it is impossible for Asians to become Americans. Therefore, Asians are excluded from places of political and civic power. Asians are excluded from political participation that shape and continue to shape the dominant narratives and policies of the United States of America. By equipping us with a nuanced and relational understanding of Asian American racialization, Dr. Kim hopes that we will gain new insights into both the difficulty and promise of multiracial coalitions. And for me, that is what fundamentally building multiracial coalition means. It means that we have to ground our work in solidarity. The lines we see on the triangulation graph are visual reminders that our faiths are deeply intertwined, that our histories are connected, that our liberation is bound up together. And when we can work from this place of deep solidarity, we have hope of moving from this world to a more liberatory place.